Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast. I'm Dr. Layne Garrett, audiologist and founder of Timpanogos Hearing Tinnitus, and I'm proud to say we're one of the first modern tinnitus specialty centers here in the United States, and I'm glad you're here today. So I want to start with a quick question. Have you ever wondered why, no matter what you try, that ringing in your ears just won't stop? Maybe you've talked to your physician about your tinnitus and been told you just have to learn to live with it. It's exhausting. Sleepless nights, constant anxiety, and the frustration that leads so many people to spend thousands of dollars on supplements, gadgets, or miracle cures that just don't deliver. Today, I'm going to walk you step by step through exactly which tinnitus treatments are backed by real scientific evidence and which ones you can honestly ignore. After working with thousands of tinnitus patients over the past 20 years, I've seen firsthand what does actually help and what doesn't. My hope is that by the end of this episode, you'll feel informed, encouraged, and a little more in control of your next steps. So if you're ready to finally get clarity about tinnitus treatments, let's start by busting some of the biggest myths.
If you're navigating hearing loss or struggling with ringing in your ears, then you've come to the right place. The All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast is your go-to source for expert insights, real stories, and cutting-edge solutions in hearing health. We'll dive into the latest advancements in hearing healthcare, explore groundbreaking treatments for tinnitus, and offer practical tips for better hearing. Here to help you tune into a world of better hearing, here's your host from Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus, Dr. Layne Garrett.
If you have tinnitus, you know it's not just the sound itself, that ringing, buzzing, or hissing, it's the mental toll that it takes on you. The anxiety, the sleepless nights, and that sinking feeling that you may just never get to experience silence again. It can feel really isolating. When you're desperate for a solution, it's easy to fall into what I call the wild west of tinnitus treatments you find online. You'll find some shady websites promising magic pills with flashy all-natural labels that claim to silence noise for good. But here's why so much misinformation is out there. Tinnitus is a complex condition with no single simple cure. The sound isn't just coming from your ear, it's actually being generated by your brain, often as a reaction to hearing loss or other changes in your auditory system. The complexity creates a vacuum, and unfortunately, a lot of unproven treatments have rushed in to try to fill it. One of the biggest myths I hear almost every week is that nothing can be done and you just have to learn to live with it. But what many people don't know is that back in 2014, the American Academy of Otolaryngology published official guidelines to treat tinnitus. These were developed through years of research on what was effective and what was not. And today I want to share that evidence with you. Let's start by clearing away the most common dead ends. First, dietary supplements. This is probably the biggest scam in the tinnitus world. You'll see ads for ginkgo biloba, zinc, melatonin, and all sorts of proprietary blends claiming to increase blood flow or nourish your ears. But the science is clear. These supplements consistently perform no better than a placebo. Our clinical guidelines explicitly state that doctors should not recommend those things for tinnitus. And remember, natural doesn't mean effective. Sometimes these supplements can even interact with other medications you're taking. Next, medications. It feels like there should be a pill for this, but the FDA has not approved any drug specifically to treat tinnitus. Sometimes antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications are prescribed off-label to help with the distress, but they don't address the tinnitus sound itself and can carry significant side effects. What about acupuncture or magnetic stimulation? Well, acupuncture is an ancient practice with many uses. The scientific evidence for tinnitus relief is weak and inconsistent. The same goes for treatments like transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TIMS. The guidelines do not recommend these as routine treatments. I know it can feel discouraging to hear this, but clearing these myths out of the way is actually empowering because it lets you focus your energy and resources on approaches that have real potential to help. So here's the good news. There are treatments backed by solid evidence. While they don't make tinnitus vanish overnight, they can dramatically reduce the distress it causes. The focus is on helping your brain habituate to the sound so the tinnitus fades into the background of your awareness. Tinnitus is most commonly linked to hearing loss, and hearing aids can be a game changer for tinnitus patients. In fact, there are over 40 peer-reviewed scientific studies showing hearing aids can help manage tinnitus effectively. The American Academy of Otolaryngology guidelines recommend hearing aids as a first-line treatment, even for people who might otherwise be considered a borderline candidate based on their hearing loss alone. By amplifying everyday sounds, your brain starts to receive the stimulation it's been missing, and over time, tinnitus becomes less noticeable. Another option is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. This is the single most effective treatment for the distress caused by the tinnitus. CBT teaches you how to recognize and reframe the thoughts and emotions that make the tinnitus feel unbearable. For example, you'll learn to replace thoughts like, "This is ruining my life," with, "This is just a harmless sound that my brain is producing." Dozens of studies have now shown that cognitive behavioral therapy can significantly reduce anxiety, depression, and tinnitus-related distress, giving you back your quality of life again. And then there's sound therapy. There are two main types of sound therapy: masking and tinnitus retraining therapy. Masking simply uses other sounds to cover up the tinnitus temporarily, which can help in the short term, but does not promote long-term habituation. Tinnitus retraining therapy combines sound enrichment with structured counseling to help your brain reclassify tinnitus as an unimportant background sound. It takes time, sometimes months, but can be effective. While sound therapy is not formally recommended in the guidelines as a primary treatment, it is listed as a useful option for many people. I also want to tell you about something newer you may have heard about, something called Lenire. Lenire is the first FDA-approved bimodal neuromodulation device for tinnitus. It works by stimulating your brain in two ways at the same time: gentle sound through headphones and mild electrical pulses on your tongue. The idea is to retrain the part of your brain generating the tinnitus signal so it stops paying attention to it. I know that sounds crazy, but the research behind Lenire is promising. A recent study published out of the United States found that 91% of participants had a clinically meaningful reduction in their tinnitus severity after just 12 weeks. And other clinical trials have shown similar results. It's important to note Lenire is not a cure. It's an option. It also requires a financial investment since most insurance companies don't cover it yet. But it does represent an exciting step forward in tinnitus treatment technologies. So where should you start? The most important step is to have a proper evaluation by a professional. See an audiologist who specializes in tinnitus. They can do a more thorough hearing test to see if hearing loss is a factor and rule out other medical conditions that might be causing the tinnitus. If needed, they'll refer you to an ear, nose, and throat doctor for further evaluation. Once you have that information, you can have an informed conversation about your options, whether that's hearing aids, education, counseling, sound therapy, Lenire, or a combination of these approaches, which honestly is usually the best result. And most importantly, I want you to remember there is real hope. While there is not an instant cure, there are proven ways to manage tinnitus and reclaim your peace of mind. You can learn to push the sound of that tinnitus into the background, strip it of its power over you, and get back to living a fulfilling life. If you found this episode helpful, I would love it if you'd subscribe to our podcast. It helps other people find this information too. And if you want a deeper dive, I've included links in the show notes below. One link is to download a free copy of my book, Take Your Life Back, which goes into much more detail about tinnitus treatment options. Another link is to help you find audiologists who specialize in tinnitus near you. Thank you for listening to the All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast. Remember, there are evidence-based solutions and you deserve relief and clarity. Be well. I'll see you next time.
A world of better hearing and relief from tinnitus is within reach, and we're here to help. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now and join us on the journey to clearer sound and a richer life. Thanks for listening to the All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast with Dr. Layne Garrett. We'll see you next time.